Well. So interestingly enough, today, it appears as though it's today, although when I went online, I couldn't find it outside of everybody posting it on Instagram. Netflix is weighing in on Housewives drama, baby. And we're going to shortly get into what this has to do with Salt Lake City in just 1 second. But the Netflix account, from what we see here, okay, they have listed their favorites from the Real Housewives franchises. Okay. So shout out to I Live for Bravo for catching this. And it's on a couple of different other sites. Let me know in the chatterization if you agree with Netflix. So Netflix has named their favorite housewives from a couple of cities. Real Housewives of Potomac, it's the Grand Dame, Karen Huger. We have Real Housewives of New York, Dorinda Medley. I'm not going to argue there. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we have Garcelle. I'm not going to argue there either. Real Housewives of Atlanta, we have two ex-wives, Portia and Nene. I mean, good choices there. Real Housewives of New Jersey, we got Melissa, which is shocking to me. Not too shocking, because I kind of feel like, listen, I have a whole thing with Teresa that I just could not choose her to be a favorite housewife of New Jersey, but it's for various reasons. But anyway, so then they said, what about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? If you say Jen, we're going to fight. Okay. So this is what they had to say. It was so interesting. So the Netflix account, or what appears to be the Netflix account, says this. So this is still ever changing, but at this moment, it's Lisa Barlow, because she's constantly scheming and plotting ways to take the other women down. But the thing that will prevent her from being an all-time housewife is that she refuses to own what she's doing in her confessionals. Now, I thought this was very, very interesting right here, what they're saying about that good Lisa Barlow, because it is becoming the focal point of some of the ladies on the show, wherein they are saying some of the very same things. The fact that they said she's always scheming and plotting to take the other women down is crazy to me. They really literally called her out. Now, she responded in kind of a joking manner, but that's not what we're going to talk about here. But further, they said, all I want for my birthday is a Mary M. Cosby Netflix stand-up special. And Netflix responded, and it shall be called Little Girl. Y'all, let me tell you something. I'm so here for Netflix right now, joining in on the Housewives shenanigans. Baby, let me tell you something. But before we get into what's going on, let me acknowledge a couple of things. One, Adam from Up and Adam is not here today. He has some things going on. He is booked and busy, but he will be back next week. So we're gonna thug it out, okay, today, and then he'll be back with us next week. The next thing I want to say is, if you are in the chatterization, go on ahead and give us your location down in the chat. Now, I don't know who over there running that Netflix account, but drinks on you today. Drinks on you. So we got some other news to talk about before we get into the episode, y'all. We got some other news to talk about. Little girl. Oh, Miss Mary had a little old lamb. But that ain't all that's happening on social media today. Let's get into the news of it all, because Mary and Jen are currently dragging that good Lisa Barlow. Oh, yes. So in two separate sets of tweets that we about to review from things that occurred last night, we're going to talk about what's actually happening right now. So let's get into it. So our friends over at the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City posted this clip of Meredith on Watch What Happens Live last night, okay? Now, on this clipperization right here, we have Meredith on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy was asking about Cameron, who is Lisa's friend, or who I should say was, because he passed, who was featured on the show. You guys may recall he was at the event that Lisa held with her sons for her Fresh Wolf, I don't know if, I think it was for their Fresh Wolf event, I think. And Meredith came, Whitney was supposed to come, Jen was not invited. Okay, so there's that. So in this scene, Meredith and Cameron had a conversation with Cameron warning Meredith about Mary. It was something real cryptic, okay? Now, Meredith, this has been weighing on her, and she's heard input from Whitney, because, you know, Whitney and Mary had their falling out. So now Whitney is spilling all the tea about Mary. And, you know, we will have in this episode tonight that we're going to discuss today, Meredith confronts Lisa about, hey, well, what's going on with this conversation with Cameron? So when asked about the situation with Cameron on Watch What Happens Live, you know, Meredith says basically that she suggested that Cameron had a condition that could have impaired his perception of reality, okay, about Mary. So Meredith is standing 10 toes down, okay, 10 toes down on Mary Cosby. So Mary does at least have one person to back her up, and Meredith is going to bat for her. So this prompted Lisa to tweet this out. She says, Cameron was not impaired at all. This is disgusting. So I'm wondering how this is going to impact her and Meredith's friendship with her calling that disgusting. But anyway, Mary says, yes, he was, Lisa. You better stop with your lies. You know he was. So then Lisa says, not one of these girls knew Cameron, and his name should not have been brought up. Now, Jen then chimes in the chat and says, you're the one that brought him into this, Lisa. Let me tell you something. It is getting messy up in the Salt Lake City, okay? Messy boots. Lisa said his name shouldn't have been brought up, but Jen is like, well, girl, you brought him into this, okay? So then another person asked Lisa, they say not to be messy, but she mentioned he had mental issues in an interview last week. Maybe Mary told her this information. Lisa says it's not true and wrong for anyone to speak on his health. He left Mary's church years prior. He was completely fine. In fact, you will see more soon. How would she know based on her 5-minute conversation at an event where he was a board member? So maybe I guess he was a board member at the event that he was end up talking to Meredith. But my thing is this. Last night, Lisa revealed that the man, Cameron, had, I guess, done something with his mortgage. What's she saying? He mortgaged his house and gave Mary $300,000. Now, I don't know about y'all or what, but I don't know who to be mad at that he didn't mortgage his house and gave Mary $300,000. I'm mad at him a little bit, because why would you do that? Now, I understand you got to pay your tithes and offerings, but at the end of the day, $300,000, you're going to mortgage your house and give it over to them for what? Okay. Miss D. Green says, Lisa revealing her failed plan by being defensive. Thank you for that super chat, boo. So whose fault is it that he mortgaged his home and gave her the $300,000? Did she put a spell on him and make him give it away? Anyway, another person says, oh, come on, Lisa. You literally set the scene at your kid's brand product event. Very strategic of you to place him in front of the camera, and now you don't want anyone to talk about him? So Lisa says, Cameron was on the board of Utah Foster Care. Read his bio. And I met Mary through Cameron. There are no surprises here. So we got all those shenanigans going on with Lisa and Mary, and then Jen Shah weighing in, and then we got Meredith coming in defending that good Mary. But let's take things even further, because it's about to get even messier. Because when we head on over to when we head on over to the Bravo Snark side, okay, they happen to catch these tweets right here. All right. So Lisa says this. She says, the FBI and HSI shows up, and I'm still the one being talked about. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Jen Shah says, because you turn faster than a burnt pancake. And that's why everybody is talking about you. Jen Shah has her foot, okay, on that good Lisa Barlow's neck, okay? Got her foot on Lisa Barlow's neck right now, all right? Now, the next thing that was said was, note, I owe her a bag of Lifesavers and mint Milanos. Now, I don't know what that was talking about. And then Jen comes in and says, those were on me, sweetie. You pulled out all the stops with your thespian performance, girl. Hashtag all natural my butt. Hashtag actress, but not really. Hashtag Google it. Then Lisa says, not one of these girls knew Cameron, and his name should not have been brought up. And that's when Jen Shah says, you're the one that brought him into this. So Jen is looking like she not really feeling Lisa too much right now. I mean, it was the burnt pancake for me, okay? You turned faster than a burnt pancake. Now, I ain't never heard that before, but I'm going to use it in a sentence. Listen, I am sure going to use that. Jen Shah, I'm going to have to thank you for that one, because it's the burnt pancakes for me. I do like my pancakes a little on the crispy side. How about y'all? I mean, just if you think about it, I like the little crunch of the crisp. Anyway, let's get down to it. We're going to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 obviously being the best, and then 1 obviously being the lowest. Now, I'm going to rate this episode a 9.5, okay? I'm going to rate it a 9.5 because I would have gave it a 9. Yeah, crispy edges. Oh, yes. I would rate it a 9, but this episode caused so much chatter on social media. We got to raise the score up. We got to raise it on up. We got to raise the roof on it. 8.5, 9, 5, 10. Now, y'all all over the board today. Y'all is all over the board today. It is getting juicy to me. Oh, a crispy thin one. Yes. A crepe. A 9. Okay, so we about on the same page. 10 for you. Okay, it's a 10 for Hilda. 9.1. I think you owe Mark for at least raising the roof on it a little bit and give it a 9.1. 7.5, 10, 8. We about all on the same page. We about there, you know. Let's get into the episode, y'all. Shall we? Yes, we shall. Back in Vail, all right. We're still on where Jen. Okay, so the ladies are still talking about where it is that Jen Shah went to after Heather has sent her in the Uber to her house, to where she was supposed to be going home. But we learned from Heather that Jen got out of the Uber and went someplace. Now, Lisa was like, well, what time did she get out? What day was this? What was the minute? How long was she gone? Where did she leave out at? What stop did she get out at? Which light was it? Which intersection? Who was with her? Okay, she got all the questions. And the ladies are like, well, girl, what do you know? You must know something because you asking a whole lot of pointed questions. Lisa indicates that she thought it was someone other than somebody in Jen's family that might have been picking her up. Now, Heather thought that Jen just didn't want her to know who picked her up. Not that she might have been with another man, okay? So Meredith goes to comfort Lisa. She wraps her arms around her, okay? And Lisa is sobbing and says, you get it. Well, I don't. What don't we get? Okay. What is it that Lisa and Meredith know that the rest of us don't know? Because Heather don't know. Whitney don't know. Jenny don't know nothing. And all Mary want to do is eat these crackers. Okay. Anyway, Lisa feels like Jen has a double life. And I guess that's what Jen meant when by Lisa turning on her faster than a burnt pancake. Lisa then brings up her discussion with Jen about Jen's old employee and talks about how after that altercation, Jen texted her and cursed her out while she was driving home with her kids in the back. Miss Wilson says, is Mary's darker face peeping through? She looks a bit darker around the mouth region, and last week it was even worse. So, Miss Wilson, I would have just assumed that maybe she wasn't wearing the same makeup that she normally wears or something like that. I don't know. Maybe she just didn't have the makeup on and she was just like, I'm in the cold weather and they got me up here looking crazy. Because what you're going to learn in this episode, Mary does not like being cold, okay? So maybe that was it. I don't know. I can only wager a guess. We then learned from Lisa that somebody was sending all the ladies. Oh, JMW says Lisa team too much, but Meredith is my favorite. I'm liking Meredith more and more and more and more and more and more, honestly. Legit. Like I liked her last season, but I'm liking her more this season. Anyway, Lisa then brings up the fact that they all got these weird text messages. Whitney got them, Heather got them, Meredith, one of I guess her son got them. And it was something about some racism or something like that. Receipts was coming out, and it was from a burner phone. And in the messages, they wrote because, and they spelled it BCUZ. Now, Lisa determined that the only person she know that write because like that is Jen Shah. So she deduced that the messages might have been coming from her. But Meredith was like, oh no, I'm not going to be getting these threatening messages from people that I don't know. I'm going to hire a private investigator. So she hires the private investigator who then suggests that maybe the messages, because they are coming from a burner phone, are coming from Jen Shah. Now this, so you guys know, this timeline of when this occurred was, I guess, maybe around about after the season had ended last season or something like that. I really can't recall, but it wasn't this season. It was last year. So this is why Meredith hired the PI. Anyway, Meredith asked, who wants to be friends with Jen moving forward? Now, Jenny, who is off to the side, and she's looking like, no, hold on for a second. I relate to Jen because I am a minority as well. And they are all turning on her now that she has been arrested. Could they turn on me next? Well, valid question, girl. It's a valid question. I mean, based on the way things are going in these episodes, Jen then went down with the law, okay? Now Mary is about to go down with the church. I don't know, girl. Hold on to your hats, okay? Hold on to your sister wives. Anyway, Heather is still Team Jen until the end. And I just be wondering, now listen, I ain't trying to say you need to dump your friend when you find out they've been arrested for alleged fraud and money laundering. I'm not saying you should do that. I ain't saying you should stay with them either. But what I am saying is, it's so interesting to me. Heather is going to be ride or die. Now, the odd thing about this is that Jen allegedly called Heather a manatee last year. I can't say that I would have somebody's back that called me a manatee. Given that I just found out what a manatee looks like, I know I wouldn't be friends with that person no more. But Heather is holding her down harder than Meredith is holding down Mary, okay? Anyway, Meredith and Lisa are questioning when enough is enough, but Meredith is done. Mary says she never seen any potential in Jen anyway. And I'm like, oh, Mary, you might want to tread lightly because we know that the B storyline is you, okay? You are on the menu next to be chopped, fried, and filleted. So if I was you, I would just sit on back and eat them crackers, okay, and go back up to your room and plot about the next sweater that you about to wear when they take you out into the cold, okay? Because at the end of the day, the last thing that you want to be doing is calling somebody out because they're coming for you, okay? I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. All right. Not only did she call her a man, Jen. Not only did Jen allegedly call Heather a manatee, I think she called her Shrek. Somebody just wrote it in the chatterization. Not Shrek. Oh no, we cannot be friends ever again. Meanwhile, Whitney wants an explanation from Jen. Call Jen now. Heather calls Jen, but of course the mailbox is full. I wonder why. Okay. Meredith she just basically states it. If you inviting Jen to your next soiree, your next ponderosa, your next clam bake, do not invite me because I don't want to be around her no more. Anyway, the next day, the ladies have an emotional hangover. Now, oddly, Mary comes down and sees Whitney cooking eggs, frying some eggs, and wants Whitney to make her an egg. Whitney is now afraid because she knows she better get this egg right or Mary is going to send Jesus after her. When she does finally fry the egg, Mary, off to herself, says, you know what? I didn't see her wash her hands. So let me nuke this thing in the microwave so I can get rid of all Whitney's germs. Netflix, you are correct. Give me a Mary special. I just want to see Mary just in her day-to-day life because I'm sure she goes off on everybody. Like nobody is safe with Mary. Nobody. I think I would pay money to get read by Mary. I don't know what she would say, but I feel like it would be good and it would be completely unexpected. But anyway, Heather, Jenny, and Whitney head out to go bobsledding. Meredith and Whitney chat on the lanai, and they revisit Meredith's conversation with Cameron, the man who brought her the information about Mary. Okay. Now, Meredith mentions how Whitney told her that Mary's cousin also warned Whitney about Mary. Lisa then says that the members of the church are in awe of Mary when she shows up. Okay, so clearly she don't show up all the time. Now Mary asks, "Well, girl, what are you trying to say?" And Meredith in her confessional says, "Lisa trying to say something, but she's not really telling me what she's trying to say." Lisa says she doesn't want to say anything that will rattle her friendship, Mary's friendship with Meredith. Meredith says, "Well, I need to clue Mary in and let her know what everybody's saying about her." But Lisa basically tells her, "I have kept your confidences and I would like to keep Cameron's too. I.e., don't say nothing because Cameron trusts me." But Cameron, you said it on camera. At a certain point in time, you don't think Mary's going to find out that you said it? I mean, Lord forgive me, because it is difficult for me to remember that the man has passed. And so it is hard for me to discuss him. But at the end of the day, he said it on camera. He's gone. It was out there at that point. So it wasn't like, oh, he told Meredith off screen. No, he told her in full view of a camera. Okay. Anyway, oddly, in the next breath, we see Meredith, Mary, and Lisa all going out ice skating together like nothing ever happened. It was so odd. Speaking of ice skating, that is not something that I do not do. I am 6'3" tall. So what that means for you is if I fall on ice skating, it is a long way down. And when you fall, when you're ice skating, you fall slow. So it happens in slow motion. So you know it's coming. You are on your way down. And slowly but surely, as your butt begins to make impact with that ice, you realize that ice feels like cement when you fall on it. And then there's the fear that somebody's going to run over your finger while they're skating on that little thin sheet or whatever that thing is that they're skating on. And then you got to be worried about your fingers too. No, it is not for me. Meanwhile, Jenny, Heather, and Whitney, they're in the van talking about Lisa on the way back. Heather feels like this is all the Lisa Barlow show. Everything's about Lisa. And Jenny is oddly like, yeah. But Jenny is Lisa's friend. Anyway, Heather says that Lisa likes to stir the mess, but not get her hands dirty, and she's withholding information. Heather is reading the situation, baby. Let me tell you. Jenny then says that Lisa has to be 100% correct before she speaks on anything. So she does kind of try to defend her. But anyway, back at the house, there's a charcuterie board spread out, and we learned that Heather has a sister in Colorado where she's from, and she wants to know her sister better. This storyline came out of thin air to me. I did not know about it, but suddenly next week we will see Heather visiting her sister. More on that later, okay? Back in Salt Lake City, we finally see Jen. She's meeting with her lawyer, and he reviews the charges, fraud and money laundering. Now, they are declaring her innocent, but they still have to secure her up all her bond. She says she's thinking, oh, so she gets to describing the phone call that she got when she got off the van. Now, in this phone call, she says she was thinking that Sharif was sick. She says somebody called her from the sheriff's from Sharif's phone, but it was not Sharif. And they said that she had to go get Omar and come home because it's an emergency. But my question was, who was on the phone? Who was that somebody that had your husband's phone and that was calling you and told you you need to go get Omar and you need to come home? 2, did that person tell you explicitly that Sharif was in the hospital and that he had internal bleeding, or did you add some extra sprinkle to the mix? Okay, because if you added some extra sprinkle to the mix, I'm still losing a bit of respect from you, Jen, because at the end of the day, what we don't do is we don't lie about somebody being sick. We don't ever do that. Okay, it's a no-no. But my thought about it is, are you telling me the truth right now? That was really what I was wondering, because it's not sounding like the truth. It sounded like you omitting some things and you misplacing some things. And thereby it's sounding like it's an untruth. But that's just me. The math ain't mathing, okay? Anyway, back in Vail, they're having a Bavarian or a French or Swiss themed night, and all the girls are dressed up. To me, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. Mary's moments by herself are literally a completely different show. The ladies end up taking shots in the cold, and Mary is freezing, and she just wants to meet. Everything is annoying Mary right now, especially Whitney. Now, the dinner looks amazing because it's like a one of those little barbecues where you got to put all the little meats on the thing and watch it sizzle and stuff like that, and then you got to take it off when it's done, and then you eat it. But the dinner about to be outside, and I'm just sure Mary is not going to be pleased. Now, Mary feels like she's talking to herself in the group, and she's ready to go because nobody listening to her because she's sitting all the way on the end. But as she's about to leave, she tells Heather, girl, I don't want you to come in my room. And Heather's like, come in your room. And Mary's like, yeah, girl, when you get drunk, you might be wandering around and you might try to come in my room. And Heather's like, girl, that's in her confessional. She's laughing though. In real time, she's laughing, but in her confessional, she's like, that's the last place where I'm trying to end up is in your room, girl. Anyway, Whitney says, well, what if I end up in your room? Wrong road, Whitney. Wrong road. You know this girl is still mad at you, okay? I'm not quite sure why, but we know she's still mad at you. So I wouldn't even try to joke with somebody when they're mad at you. Like, don't try to do that. Clearly, well, this is what I will say. I'll save it for later. Whitney says she loves Mary and she put a lot into the relationship, but Mary hurt her. Meanwhile, Mary is leaning her head on Meredith's shoulder, about to fall asleep, okay? Mary says that she feels like Whitney doesn't listen to her. And Whitney feels like she shouldn't speak to her in such a way because, she's not Mary's child. And Mary's like, well, thank God. And then she gets up to leave. Now, her excuse for not wanting to get into a dialogue with Whitney is that Whitney has been drinking. And this was interesting to me because I thought to myself, well, Mary, you is being real mean to Whitney right now. Now, granted, Whitney, don't joke with somebody when they're mad at you because that's not what you're going to do. But Mary, I was like, you kind of going a little extra hard today. I mean, it seemed like she was just in a bad mood. And I understand, girl, because I don't want to be out in the cold either. Okay. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel like it required all that energy that she was giving Whitney or not giving Whitney. But Mary, in her confessional, tells us that Whitney had been drinking, and she had been watching Whitney drink all day. So she felt like, I'm not going to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to argue with you when you're drunk, and you're not going to remember this in the morning. Now, that was something that I could relate to, because I am not having an argument with somebody when they are drinking. Because you're right, they're not going to remember it. Now, I don't know if she was as drunk as she was claiming that Whitney was, but what I will say is, if that was the case, then I understand it. But otherwise, it came across as though Mary was really in a bad mood, and she was really just treating Whitney poorly. That's how it came across. Whitney thinks that Mary thinks less of her than everybody else, and Meredith goes to try to talk to Mary, but Mary is like, not today, girl. I might talk to her tomorrow, but not today. I'm not feeling it. So Mary leaves. Whitney then says she feels like she's protected Mary from the things that people have been saying about her. She says the congregation believes Mary is God, that she and then she realizes that she has been lied to herself. And I was like, well, what would you lie to about? Lisa lets them know that she knows something, and Heather wants to know, well, girl, what do you know? But Lisa is not opening up. Then Jenny has a sudden epiphany, and she's like, now I understand why Heather and Whitney are frustrated by Lisa, because she keeps claiming to know stuff, but she's not saying nothing. Frustrating. So then Heather equates this whole situation with Jen Shah, and she says basically this. You know, we just got blindsided by this information about Jen with the arrest. Are we being blindsided by something else right now? Some things that we should know about Mary, who may be potentially, according to Heather, you know, taking advantage of the members of the congregation. So Meredith just comes out with it and says that she confronted Mary about the rumors. She was like, I can't do this no more. I talked to Mary about all the things that's being said about her. And Mary says this, and I thought this was, personally, I thought it was powerful. Mary says, it's not about who said what, it's about who believed it. And then she says to Meredith, what religion and what church do you know that people don't have negative things to say about? And baby, when she said that, I was like, boom, because that's the truth. That is the absolute truth. I cannot tell you, having gone to college in a couple of different places, having lived in a couple of different places, I have tried to, when you are trying to find a church home, and I'm just going to take y'all off to the side for a second. When you are trying to find a church home, one of the things I will tell you is it is like dating. Not every church will be for you. And what you will find on your journey to trying to find a good church, unless you have been blessed to just go to the same church your whole life, what you will find as you try to experiment and go to different churches is that different churches have different views of their pastor, okay? And in a lot of churches that I have seen and been to, there are members and communities of the churches that view their pastor as something akin to, or the closest thing that they can find that's near God. So for a lot of people, they do look at their pastors in that way. The other thing that you will find is they look at the church in that way. They will give their all. And I know people like this. They have given all, just about everything in their lives to a particular church. And at a certain point in time, as an outsider, you might look at them like, what are you doing? What is you doing? That was your life savings, or whatever the case may be. But it makes total sense to that person. Similarly, okay, we can equate it to what we are learning from Heather about her experience in the Mormon church. Okay. Every time Heather opens her mouth about this Mormon church, what I hear about it, there's some good, but there's a lot of things that she felt like are not too good. So Heather, in that instance, should have, and she was the first person to say, well, that's fair. Okay, that is fair. A lot of people, especially from the outside looking in, will definitely be able to find fault in or critique certain types of church communities. It is what it is. That's nothing new. So when Mary said this, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It resonated with me because I have experienced many different types of church communities. And I know for a fact that this is something that happens with a lot of church communities. somebody, I mean, it could be a person that has left the church. It could be a person that is just looking at the church from the outside in. If it don't resonate with what they like or what they prefer or where they are in their walk, it's not going to make sense to them. And they're going to have negative stuff to say. It is what it is, right? It's the truth. So anyway, I thought that was wild. So then Lisa opens up and says that she believes everything that Cameron told her and that he was traumatized being a member there and he's no longer a member. Well, that's what he should have done. If he felt like he was being traumatized, again, not every church is for you. So Meredith calls it and says religious trauma is very abstract. And she's getting angry at this point because she's like, listen, you keep talking to us all cryptically, and you're not really giving us the answers that we really want to hear. You keep saying that you know stuff and implying that you know stuff. Why don't you actually tell us what you know versus just having us sit here in the dark? Spill the beans, girl. Spill the beans. So then Lisa finally says it. Cameron mortgaged his house and gave Mary $300,000 in the scene. Now, what I will say about this is, for as many people that's calling Lisa out, I don't mind her, okay? I mean, listen, I don't mind her because whatever Lisa is doing, I mean, the story is moving and it has created an almighty mess, okay? It has created an almighty mess. And honestly, it's exactly what this season needed. It is total and complete chaos and confusion on this show. And if you are not watching it, you definitely need to be tuning in now. You could have missed the first 8 episodes of the season and just started at episode like 8, 9, okay? And then you would be getting your entire life right now because it ain't nothing but confusion. And it's getting worse and worse by the episode. And honestly, if I have to thank Lisa Barlow for it, by goodness, thank you, Lisa Barlow, okay? I mean, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, what I said, I feel like it's true about churches, you know, and I never been to Mary's church. So I don't know the experience that people are having. But what I do know is I've experienced people having these types of experiences with a lot of churches. That is my point. So, you know, in terms of the congregation following her around like they think that she might be a deity, that's on them. These are grown people. The same as anybody who is in the Mormon church. These are grown people. This is the choice that they have made to enter into, and or they have grown up in this. It's their choice as to whether they stay or not. Who we mad at? Who we going to be mad at in this situation? Inspired with McMillan says Lisa Barlow is the new bone collector. The show has a scary and mysterious element to it. Boom. You hit the nail on the head. It does have a scary and mysterious element to it. I thought I missed another one. Let me see if I did. What did I see? Roz said no church should ever traumatize, disappoint maybe, but never traumatize. It's a super chat that I missed. What I will say is this. I have left some churches feeling like I was traumatized, but I would say that it probably wasn't the pastor or the church's intent to make me feel traumatized, but that's how I felt. So everybody's different. Does that make sense? There was a super chat that I did miss, and I wanted to try to see if I could run up and get it real quick. It was from Jade, who says, oh, so it wasn't that long ago. It was from Jade CA, who says, Richie took us to church today on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Love that sweater. Thank you so much, boo. See if I can pull it up. Oh, here it is right here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we got that one. We got this one. I mean, The only thing I will say though is if Lisa is behind it all, then it will become unfortunate if it becomes about her. Okay, because that's not going to, I'm sure, feel very good. But Salt Lake City is heating up and it is good. These ladies are off the chain right now. These ladies are off the chain. And I am here for it. Okay. Now, that was the episode, y'all. We will be back next Monday with a new episode. It's about to get even juicier with Heather versus Mary. That's about to be wild. Miss D Green says I missed her super chats. Let's see. If I can run up and catch it real quick. Oh, Mary is sensible chaos personified, off and spot on. Yep. It's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, there does seem to be something very kind of wonky, but there's some truth to some things that she says, or at least some wisdom behind it in some way, shape, or form. It's very interesting. She's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Mountain Kitty. I appreciate you. Thank you, boo. Hey, boo. Listen. I don't even know what to do with myself now. Exciting episodes today of both Potomac and Salt Lake City. Such a good time today, y'all. Listen, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Shoot me a text message to join the texting community. I will basically send you guys a text message every time a new video drops. We have Bruce with another super chat saying, I'm seeing that Jenny may not return next season. She's not really bringing much to the show. Jenny, I don't know yet. I think it's difficult because these women on the show so far, like the original cast, there's so much energy between them all at this point that it feels like sometimes like she's an afterthought to me. So I don't know. I think she seems like a nice lady, but maybe we might need a stronger personality next season. I think that's that. I don't know. I did not watch the American Music Awards. I mean, I was too busy doing this. I mean, watching these shows last night, making my notes, making my thumbnails. I try to do all that stuff on Sunday night so I can have it out of the way and just be totally prepared to either, if I have to do Good Day DC, and then dive right into my recaps with you guys. And I don't want to waste any time. So I may go back and try to watch some of the performances today. But anyway, y'all, that's all we got for y'all today. I'm about to go have my lunch. So I'm about to go and I'm trying to work out, have me a protein shake, and get some other work done. But I want to thank y'all so much. And y'all know I love y'all. And I will catch you in the next video.